What's up, everybody? The weekly roundup part 1 video has already posted. So, as I promised, gonna go ahead and do the final year 6 in summary review, whatever you want to call it. We'll go ahead and get the nerd numbers out of the way. So for the year, added 108 records to the collection. A lot of that down from the previous year of 224 because incurred a couple extra bills like a car payment and having to get a tree removed. So that was fun. Bringing the total record count to 1,227. So far since January 1, we have added 83 CDs for a total count of 538. And we just started year 3 of that. So I wanted to do this year review a little bit different. The last couple ones I've done, I've just shown records that I've gotten within the last 12 months. This time I wanted to show those as well, but I also wanted to show some of the stuff that I got very early on in my collecting days. But I'm gonna go ahead and start with the early on stuff. So, Soldiers Under Command from Stryper, along with another Stryper record. Def Leppard Pyromania, and there was one other that I got when my very first package from Ron. He sent those for free. I can't remember the other one though. But anyway, Ron will be a central figure in all of this, by the way. And I also want to give shout outs to Scott Waters, Chris Foland, Rick Bretziger, obviously Ron, George G from George G's Room of Rock, Tim Eaton, those who have added to my collection either by just giving or stuff I've been able to buy from them. A huge thank you for the support of me getting back into the physical media of music. And hopefully, the guys in Metal Allegiance or GTR Rock Realm will finally do another video soon. I'm hoping in the near future. So the first Queen album this is the first Queen album I actually bought as well. I got this from somebody, I think, off of Facebook Marketplace. Another record I got off Facebook Marketplace. Got this along with Dirty Deeds from AC/DC, Kiss Rock and Roll Over. Not my first Kiss record that I bought. I want to say that it was Destroyer. It might have been the first record that I bought. They also tried to pawn off some Barry Manilow records, which I politely told them no thank you. My first Motorhead record is the first Motorhead record. And obviously this is a repress. And it's on a white vinyl. Bought this at Scratch and Spin. My first Accept record I bought at Vintage Vinyl, Restless and Wild. There is another cover for this album as well. I'm not one of those people that buys 100 different copies of the same record because there are different variants of vinyl or different album covers or different pressings or this, that, and the other. I just need one to listen to. So, if I buy the record again, it'll be because A, I forgot I already had it, or B, because it's going to be a replacement because I've already worn the other one out. Thankfully, I have enough records where I haven't worn anything out yet. My first Alice Cooper record, I actually got this on eBay. The shipping was more than the record because I paid $1 for the record, and the shipping was like $3 something. Welcome to My Nightmare. And you would think because, it's $1, maybe it's in terrible. You can see how well, the jacket condition is. And you might be able to see how well there's no scratches, digs, or anything. One of the very few times you're going to get a cheap record that is, and it sounds fantastic. There's no popping or anything like that. So it leads me to believe it had not been played that many times. My first Deep Purple record that I bought at Second and Charles, and it one from the Coverdale and Hughes era, Stormbringer. My first Judas Priest record, Unleashed in the East. And I don't understand why when they did the reissue of this, I don't know if maybe there's something in the contracts when reissuing certain albums. I don't understand why they didn't do like they did with the CD and add the 4 extra songs. I listen to the CD more often because it has the 4 extra songs, but I had bought this first. And, there's a couple Iron Maiden albums that are out like that where the CD had an extra track that was just a standalone single, or the B-side or whatever. Number of the Beast and the first Iron Maiden album come to mind. And they weren't included on the record, so I had to go out and make sure that when I bought the CD, I bought the one with the extra track. Because that's the version I had heard first was, that version, as well as Unleashed in the East. So that is a little bit of some of the early stuff that I got first, like year 1, year 2 type stuff. Most recent buys, finally getting some Deliverance. I've got 3 of them in the collection. They all came within the last 12 months. River Disturbance from 94, I think. Yeah, 94. So finally glad to get some Deliverance in the collection. Just going to show one here because I got a bunch of these from Ron. Was able to get my Anthrax vinyl collection up to date, of course, until the new record comes out. This is the Armed and Dangerous EP that came out just prior to their second album, Spreading the Disease. First with Joey Belladonna on vocals. I got this, all of the 80s stuff with the exception of the first album I got from Ron. Got all the stuff from the 90s from Ron. The only things I had before I got the ones that I got from Ron, the only ones I had were the debut, Fistful of Metal, and then I had the 2 most recent albums, For All Kings and Worship Music. So I think there was like 8 total. This EP, there was also a live EP that was done, live versions of tracks from the first album, and then all the studio albums in between. So I would love to get Attack of the Killer A's and on vinyl as well. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. Also Killer Bees as well. So this band, I got all of their studio albums at the same time from Carcass John. You may know him from the Metal Roundtable. He also has the Crypt. I don't want to mess up the station that he's on. So if you just go to, you can check out John Fossum on Facebook, FOSSUM I think he's also under that same name on Instagram. They were doing a video, and he said that if anybody was needing copies of the records from this band, that he had some extra copies lying around, and to get them all for just over $10 each was major for me. But this is Madrost, and this is their first album, Essence of Time Matches No Flesh. Guys, these guys are like a death thrash band out of California somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. Also should have mentioned his name in the intro when I was talking about people who've added to my collection. Also, adding more Accuser. I'm always into it, especially the more later albums. Dependent Domination from these guys. German thrash band. They have the new album out. Oh God, what is it called? Something Rebirth. I can't remember the name right offhand. I don't have a copy of that yet. I know that when it was first being distributed, there was a lot of problems with getting it delivered on time and that kind of situation. Then one for my Boone's Overstock hauls that I've had in the last year. Save Yourself from Hades, from 1998. So Hades, I think, was originally like a speed thrash band. This kind of is more like in the kind of groove territory, but still a good album. And I'm actually probably going to put that in my to play bin for this week coming up. And then last but not least, I'll show one of the first 3 Hallows Eve albums that I was able to acquire from Ron as well. This one is Tales of Terror, on that little kind of smoky gray variant. Ron, probably more than anybody else, has had a huge hand in my collection, whether it be stuff he sends in trades, stuff that I bought, and then he throws some little extra stuff in, like the Funko Pops I showed in my last video. Sometimes he'll very few times has he sent me something that I hadn't heard of, that I didn't eventually like. But he did send one package, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, where it was like, yeah, there was a couple records on there that was like, yeah, I wasn't getting into those. They were kind of like in the soft rock kind of, maybe pop rock kind of style, that I was just like, yeah, that's not going to work. I did try, but either way, he's been going through some family stuff recently, so anybody wants to drop a prayer for him, that's one of the major reasons why we haven't done any of the GTR Rock Realm videos of late, is because he's just got so much going on with that. But thankfully, he is a strong man of God, and he is relying on his faith to have this situation play out in a positive way. But there we go. I've shown some of the newer pickups, some of what got me started when I first started collecting. And I hope to be able to continue doing this more and more. I've had people ask me plenty of times, were like, well, you collect, do you listen to them? Well, of course I listen to them. That's the entire reason to collect. Like, so am I going to collect just to stack these things back here? And, I mean, it'd be different if I had like 12 records and I just had them on display in like a room or something. But I mean, for over 1,200 records, no, I listen to these things. Do I have a preference between an OG copy or a reissue? Not really. Whichever one I happen to come across first, is usually the way I'm going to go. Certain albums I'd like to have OG copies of, just because of, age and that kind of stuff, like the first Black Sabbath album that's sitting up there that you maybe see where my fist is pointing to, that my wife got me. Yeah, it's great to have that as an OG copy. I mean, it's always great to have, if you can get, the stuff from the 60s, 70s, 80s. It's very hard to find the OG copies of anything from the 90s, because they really shifted completely away by about 95, 96 from the vinyl format. Very few albums were pressed in vinyl format in the late 90s period. And then you get some albums that are finally released on vinyl that never were. So those are always great. And those usually end up with some kind of bonus track or something going on, which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's kind of everything I had to say in this video. So I do have at least three album ranking videos that I'm going to do. I'm going to be doing 70s AC/DC, 70s Aerosmith, and the first David Lee Roth era of Van Halen. Not counting the last one that they did, Different Kind of Truth. Don't have it on vinyl anyway. But those are the three that I have planned so far. More will probably end up happening. If there's a band that you want to see me do decade album ranking of, just let me know in the comment section. Keep in mind, I want to be able to do a band that has at least four full-length studio albums in that decade. So, like, I don't know, there's bands that have like 3 in the 80s or at least 4. It's kind of like where I'm going with those. So there's, a little bit more time to expand on things and have, longer than a 5-minute video. But anyway, thanks for watching last year in review, and hopefully this year will produce more. Thank you and God bless.